Hello all, welcome to my channel in the subject of operations research. In this video, I will explain two-phase method in linear programming. I will explain the maximization case of two-phase method. I have already made a video in which I have explained how to use two-phase method and what is the need of two-phase method. I will put the link in the description box. So let's start the numerical on two-phase method. A two-phase method has two phases. The first phase is to get rid of the artificial variable, and the second phase is to obtain the optimum value of the objective function. So let us see what the question is. The question here is maximize z is equal to 4x1 plus 5x2 plus 2x3 subjected to three constraints. The first and second constraint are less than or equal to type, and the third constraint is equal to type. And there is non-negativity restriction, x1, x2 and x3 are greater than or equal to 0. Yes, our first step is to convert the given problem into a standard form. So when we convert this into standard form, we see that the first constraint here, which is less than or equal to, will be changed to equal to by adding slack s1 to the left hand side. Similarly, we will add slack s2 to the left hand side and convert this inequality into equality. In the third case, there is already equality sign, so we have to add artificial variable a1 here. So this is the standard form, and in the objective function we will write 0s1 plus 0s2 as s1 s2 do not contribute to the objective function, and we have to write a1 as we have written s1, we have written s2. Similarly, we have to write a1. This a1 has coefficient of either -1 or +1. It depends on the type of the objective function. Now the objective function is maximization type, so coefficient of a1 will be -1. Had it been minimization type, we would have written plus a1. After obtaining this, the next step is to obtain the initial basic feasible solution. So I have already explained in my earlier videos what are basic variables and how to obtain basic and non-basic variables. So here we see that the initial basic feasible solution is S1 equal to 10, S2 equal to 12, and A1 equal to 6. After going through these two steps, our next step is to create a phase 1 problem. So our phase 1 problem will be like this. The given LP problem in phase 1 becomes, you can see here, maximize Z is equal to, this is all 0 minus A1. So I will read it again, maximize Z is equal to minus A1. So our objective function is now changed from maximize Z is equal to 4x1 plus 5x2 plus 2x3 to maximize Z is equal to minus A1 in the phase 1. Because the phase 1 is to get rid of the artificial variable. So all other decision variables or slack or surplus variables are made 0. So there is only artificial variable left in the question now. And then we will get rid of this artificial variable in the first phase. Okay, now it's time to put the values in the simplex table. So in our simplex table, we have x1, x2, x3, the three decision variables, s1, s2, and a1 as one artificial variable. The basic variables are s1, s2, and a1. Values of basis can be, and the c0 are obtained from the objective function. So you can see here, the c0 values are obtained from the objective function. All these are 0 here, all these are 0. Only a1 has a coefficient of -1. And why minus? Because it is a maximization sum. So a1 has coefficient of -1. Then what will we write here in the basis? In the basis also, we'll take the values from the objective function, that is 0, 0, and -1 respectively for s1, s2, and a1, 0, 0, and -1. Now next step is to fill this coefficient matrix as well as identity matrix. So first we will fill the identity matrix. Always we have to remember that identity matrix is a matrix which is obtained from the variables which are in basic. Which are the variable in basic? S1, S2 and A1. So S1, S2 and A1 will form the identity matrix. And how will we get the coefficient matrix? We'll get it from the coefficients. That's 2, 1, 1. This 2, 1, 1, then 1, 3, 1 and 1, 1, 1. So this is the coefficient matrix. Last entry in this table will be the solution, that is 10, 12 and 6. So we'll get 10, 12 and 6. Okay, now the next step is to find the value of Zj. We know how to find the value of Zj. Zj is obtained by summation of multiplication of 0 with 2, 0 with 1 and minus 1 with 1, and that gives us as minus 1. So here we'll get minus 1. Similarly, we'll complete all the other entries like this. And now the next step is to find Cj minus Zj. So if you find Cj minus Zj, that 0 minus of minus 1, this will be plus 1. 0 minus of minus 1 will be plus 1. 0 minus of minus 1 will be plus 1. And these remaining entries will be 0. Now, who will enter in the solution? Since it is a maximization sum, the maximum positive value variable will enter in the solution. But we have x1, x2, x3 all having the same positive value. So we'll enter the solution. Generally, it is decided from the coefficient of the variable. Coefficient of the variable. Here the coefficient of variable here is x1 is 0, x2 is 0, x3 is 0. So we are not able to decide. That's why I will choose this one as the key column, that is x1. Someone may think that no, I want to choose x2 as the key column. Okay, it's correct. You can choose x2 as well. Someone will say that no, I want to choose x3 as the incoming variable or the key column. Yes, you are free to choose, because all these three are having same value and all these three are having the same coefficients. So you can choose either x1, x2 and x3. There is no fixed rule when the value of coefficients of the variables are same. There is no fixed rule. So what will we do? We'll start from the extreme left, and that is this one. So this becomes our key column. Now there may be a question in your mind that what if I enter x3 in the solution, x3 in the solution. What if I enter x3 in the solution and afterwards I come to know that x3 is not the part of the solution. So by mistake, if I enter x3 in the solution, then what will happen? If you enter x3 in the solution and if x3 is not the part of the solution, after few iterations, it will leave the basic. It will leave the basic, and then x1 or x2, which are the part of the solution, will enter in the basic. So what will happen if you wrongly enter x3 in the solution, which is suppose not the part of the solution, then you will end up you will end up in one extra iteration. You'll end up in one extra iteration. That's it. Finally, you are going to get the same value of z. You are going to get the optimum value of z. So you have to keep this in mind that even if you enter x3 or x2 or x1, which may not be the part of the final solution, and if you enter it here, it will go out of the solution. The solution will not have that in the basic. So no need to worry. In this case, I can select this column as the key column. Now next is to find the key row. How do you find key row? Key row is found by solution column divided by the key column. So if I divide this 10 by 2, I will get 5. 12 by 1 is 12 and 6 by 1 is 6. The minimum value is 5. So S1 is the key row, and the intersection of key row and key column is called as the key element. Now what is the significance of this key element? This key element is to be made 1 and the other elements are to be made 0. Why is it so? Is it so because now x1 will be the new basic. x1 will be the new basic and s1 will not be basic. S1 will not be basic. So this identity matrix which was formed by S1, S2 and A1 will no longer remain identity with S1, S2 and A1. Instead of S1, this 1, 0, 0 will come in the X1 column. So this will become 1, this will become 0 and this will become 0. So in order to make the identity matrix, these elements are changed as 1, 0 and 0. Okay, so to make this one, okay, before that we can see here that now S1 will no longer be the part of the solution, which will be replaced by X1. And what is the coefficient of X1 in the objective function? In the phase 1, it is 0. So this is 0. And to obtain 1 here, what will we do? We will divide this entire row by 2. So R1 new equal to R1 old divided by 2, and we will get 1. 1 divided by 2 is 1 by 2, 1 by 2 is 1 by 2, 1 by 2 is 1 by 2, 0 by 0, 2 is 0, 0 by 2 is 0, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Similarly, for S2 row, we'll simply subtract this. We'll simply subtract this from this. So R2 new is this row is obtained by R2 old minus R1 new, and we will get this. And similarly for the R3 row. Now we'll see X1, S2 and A1 are in the basic. So these three should form the identity matrix, out of which S2 and A1 were already the part of the identity matrix. X1 was not the part of identity matrix. Now X1 is also the part of identity matrix. And we see that S1, which was the part of basic earlier or the part of identity matrix earlier, is no longer the part of identity matrix. Okay. Now we'll put this in the new table and we'll get a table like this. What is the next step? Next step is to find the ZJ value. Now we all know how to find ZJ value. Then we'll find Cj minus ZJ value. And by default, the Cj minus ZJ value should give 0 under X1, S2 and A1. So X1, then S2 and A1. Because S1, S2 and A1 are the basic variables, they are already in the solution. So we cannot enter them in the solution because they are already in the solution. That's why there should be 0 here, here and here, which also gives us a check of our problem that we are going in a correct direction. Okay, now how to decide upon the key column? We have two entries, 1 by 2 here, 1 by 2 here. So out of these two entries, I will select X2 as the incoming variable. You can select X3 also as the incoming variable. There is absolutely no problem in selecting X3 also as the incoming variable, but I choose X2 as the incoming variable. So this column becomes the key column. Now next step is to find the key row. In order to find key row, we will divide the solution column entries by the key column entries, and we find here that the least value of in the ratio column is this 2. So this row becomes the key row, and this row means A1. A1 is now the leaving variable and X2 is the incoming variable. And we wanted to get rid of A1 in the phase 1, and we have now get rid of A1 in the phase 1. So next thing will be to make this as 1, 0, 0. Because X2 is replacing whom? X2 is replacing A1, and A1 have entry like from bottom 1, 0, 0. So this will be 1, 0 and 0. Okay. So you can see now A1 will be replaced by X2, which has coefficient of 0 in the objective function, and we know how to make change in the entries. So this 1 by 2 will now become 1. Why will we change it to 1? By multiplying this entire row by 2. So we'll get R3 new is equal to R3 old into 2. Similarly, changing the other two rows. And finally, we got these entries. You can check once again, x1 100, s2 010, and x2 001. These three form the identity matrix, as x1, s2, and x2 are the part of the basic. So this is our iteration 2, where we have Zj, all Zj as 0 and all Cj as 0. And we see that as there is no artificial variable in the basis, the phase 1 end. There is no artificial variable. I have not written A1 here now. You can directly skip this A1 here, and there is no artificial variable in the basis. So our phase 1 ends here. Okay, the first part, that is phase 1, ends here, and this table will now become the initial table of the phase 2. So this similar table, same table we'll write for phase 2, but what will change in the phase 2? In the phase 2, this Cj row will change. Why Cj row will change? Because the objective function will change. And what will be the objective function? The original objective function that was given to us to solve this linear programming problem will become the new objective function. So you can see that this is now phase 2, and in phase 2 we have 4, 5, 2 as the objective function values. We have 4x1 plus 5x2 plus 2x3 plus 0s1 plus 0s2 as the objective function, and because of which x1, x2, x3 have coefficient of 4, 5 and 2, 4, 5 and 2. S1, S2 has coefficient of 0, 0, and here for x1 we'll write 4 from the objective function, for S2 it's already 0, and for x2 we'll write 5 from the objective function. Okay, so phase 2 starts. In phase 2, what will we do first? We'll first find the value of Zj. Now we all know how to find the value of Zj. Next step is to find the value of Cj minus Zj. After finding the value of Cj minus Zj, we come to know that key column will be S1. So S1 will be the new key column because 1 is the maximum positive number in the Cj minus Zj row. Now if you find key row, how will you find key row? Solution column divided by the key column. So 4 divided by 1 is 4, 2 divided by 1 is 2, and 2 divided by minus 1 is not computed as this is negative. So what we have here? We have 1 in the middle row. So S2 will now leave the solution. S2 will now leave the solution, and we will enter the solution. Sorry. S1 will now enter in the solution. S1 will now enter in the solution. So as S1 will enter in the solution instead of S2, so this 1 we want here, this 0 we want here, and this 0 we want here. It means here we will change this to 0, 1, 0. So let's see how to do that. You can see that now S2 will be replaced by S1, and how to obtain in place of here, in place of 2 we want 1, so we'll divide this entire S2 row by 2 and we'll get 1 here. Similarly, we'll perform operations for the other 2 rows, and finally we are getting this matrix. And what will we do with this matrix? This will be the part of new table. So we'll write this in the new table. Then our next step is to find Zj values. We'll find Zj values. Then our step is to find Cj minus Zj values. So when we find Cj minus Zj values, that time we don't have any positive entry in the Cj minus Zj row. And all the entries under Cj minus Zj row are negative or 0. So there is no positive value under Cj minus Zj. This means that no entering variable. If there is no entering variable, and if it is maximization problem and there is no positive entering variable, so our iteration will stop and we have reached the optimum solution. Now since we have reached the optimum solution, we will find the value of x1, x2, s1, s2 and s3. So if we see here, what is x1? X1, where will you get the value of x1? Not on the left hand side, but in the solution column. So x1 is equal to 3, s1 is equal to 1, and x2 is also equal to 3. So x1, x2 are equal to 3 and s1 equal to 1. It should be s2 and this should be s3. So when we put these values of x1 is equal to 3, x2 is equal to 3, s1 is equal to 1, s2 equal to 0, s3 is equal to 0 in the given objective function, we get value of z as 27. So 27 is the optimum value of z, which we have obtained by two-phase method. So there will be one more question in your mind. Since we have two methods, two-phase method and big M method, which method should we use? You can use any of the two methods. If you are solving this in some examination where it is specified that you have to use two-phase method only or big M method only, then you have to strictly use that method. If you are solving it for some competitive exam, then you did not have to bother about which method you are using. You have to solve it in the minimum steps. Now here we have done 5 iterations to obtain the final optimum value of z. If we solve the same sum by big M method, the 5 iterations will be reduced to 3. So if you solve it by big M method, you will have less number of iterations, whereas in two-phase method, for this particular problem, we have more number of iterations. So we'll stop for this video. In our next video, we will see minimization type, which will be solved by two-phase method. Thank you.